some kind of a Lincoln Continental vehicle. It's now in reverse, sitting in the roadway, and there's 2 people that are down now.
Police officers train for almost any scenario. But how do you prepare for this? Officers have been called at a Michigan gas station where an elderly man put his car in reverse instead of park. He was thrown from the car, and now his Lincoln is circling out of control. Concern number 1 is the possibility of an explosion.
Are we going to stop it before it takes out a gas pump?
The officer knows he has no choice but to take action now.
Be careful, Brian.
He's got to turn off that engine, which will be no easy task. He decides it's safer to enter from the passenger side.
Shut down this way! Shut down this way!
Finally, the officer stops the car.
Me and my partners are here, all got the car stopped.
This time, everyone ends up okay. But in the future, the driver promised to let his wife do the driving. This car throws out smoke and sparks after a spike strip blows out 3 tires. But after he rams a cop car and leads police on a chase from New Mexico to Colorado, this villain won't stop. He runs stop signs and, with his tires completely gone, sends up showers of sparks. Now he heads down a dirt road. With so much smoke, dirt, and dust, the cop loses sight of the car. Then he finds himself right on his bumper. Just when you think this might be over, he's away again. But he doesn't get far. New Mexico State Police Officer Eric Jones is in hot pursuit and brings this bad guy down. A backup officer checks the car and then helps Jones lead the handcuffed man to his date with justice. This perpetrator should be grateful his car didn't turn into a rolling fireball. In Omaha, Nebraska, a police helicopter armed with a FLIR camera is on a routine patrol when it spots some unusual activity going on at this Taco Bell.
Hey, Bowen, be advised, this vehicle just looks like tried to hit another vehicle. Correction, they just intentionally rammed another vehicle and flipped over that vehicle. You might as well start a medic.
As the man in the SUV goes to exit the drive-thru, another SUV enters from the wrong way and blocks his path. Foolishly, he attempts to go around the vehicle by riding up over the curb and onto the embankment. But as he does, his SUV catches the retaining wall edge and flips over. It appears the other vehicle rams his SUV, causing it to flip. But upon a closer look, neither of them ever touch. The female driver of the other SUV decides it's not a good night for takeout after all, so she takes off. But police continue to track her using the FLIR camera.
That vehicle's a green Tahoe. It's going to be fleeing southbound on about 61st Street.
Eventually, officers on the ground catch up to her and take her into custody for reckless driving. As for the man in the other SUV, he suffers no injuries, but police arrest him for drunk driving. And all in all, it was a tough night for tacos. These office workers get quite a show. 2 18-year-old high school seniors climb to the 20th floor of a building in Richmond Heights, Missouri, as a news chopper records the scene. It's senior skip day at their school. Seniors get the day off, as long as they don't pull pranks like this. The plan was to scale all 23 floors, but the young daredevils run out of equipment. Now they slowly descend. To a welcoming party of police and firefighters. These young adventurers don't smile for long. They plead guilty for trespassing, failure to comply with police, and disorderly conduct. The daredevils are each sentenced to a year's probation, 100 hours of community service, and a $1,000 fine. And they are suspended from school for breaking the no prank rule. It's a heartbreaking theft, and these are the littlest victims. The in-store webcam catches two masked suspects as they snatch 12 puppies from a pet shop in Orlando, Florida. They steal only the smallest breeds worth more than $5,000. But without their documentation, these little creatures have little street value. The devastated owner is more worried about the puppy's welfare and offers a $2,000 reward for their safe return. And now he plans to add a guard dog to his canine family. A high-speed chase of a stolen BMW heads into Los Angeles. But now the chase hits Hollywood, and everything slows down and gets strange. The cameraman sees the car coming and scrambles out of his vehicle. But even he can't imagine what happens next. They're in a stolen car. They face additional charges of assault on officers for their actions during the chase, and now they show off for the cameras. If that's not enough, now they do donuts in the intersection right in front of the officers. They're all over the road, posing for passers-by. Then the driver really pushes his luck and climbs out of the window. Moments later, it's all over. Officers perform a pit maneuver and block the BMW in. Cops caution the cameraman. Both suspects are quickly arrested. It turns out the driver and his passenger are only 16 and 17 years old, but that does not stop them from facing 2 assault charges, felony evading, and charges of stealing the BMW. It's a treacherous Thanksgiving Day in Cincinnati. Officer Jerome Inneking's car has just been hit as he investigates an accident. Officer Inneking runs out to check on the other motorists. A speeding car slams into the officer and hurls him under the car in front. An eyewitness runs up to help the injured officer jammed under the car. Emergency vehicles finally arrive. Officer Inneking suffers leg injuries in this horrifying crash, but miraculously, he still manages to make it home for Thanksgiving dinner with his family. A powerful spotlight from a news chopper catches a speeding truck roaring down a Los Angeles freeway. Police on the ground close in, but the driver has no intention to stop. But take a closer look at that speeding truck. Those are sparks and smoke coming from the left rear tire. In fact, the tire is completely gone. Any sudden move by the driver will send the vehicle somersaulting. Despite the fact he's running at more than 70 miles an hour on only 3 wheels, the driver changes lanes and amazingly manages to stay on the road. The suspect exits the freeway. That's where things get really tricky. The raw metal of the rim shoots out sparks as the truck careens sideways. Then it's a hard left turn into a mini mall. He's out of the truck and on the run. The truck comes to a rest gently against a barrier, but this wanted man is headed for a much harder landing. It may have been one hot pursuit, but now this man's going to be cooling his heels in jail. It's cold and rainy in Longview, Texas. Several cars have careened off the turnpike due to the extremely icy conditions. The driver of a stuck truck walks away from his vehicle. A police officer yells at him to move further back as a pickup hits an SUV just off camera, then heads right toward the other driver. He runs as the truck comes to a stop right where he was standing. Despite the multiple accidents, the news is not all bad. No one was seriously injured. It's a wild chase through the outskirts of Miami, Florida. The driver is suspected of stealing this car, and now he's become a major menace to rush hour traffic. Early on, he loses control and rams into the back end of a car that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's soon obvious that this guy has thrown safety out the window as he continues to try to outmaneuver the law. He starts to enter Florida's Interstate 95, then changes his mind at the last moment. With the helicopter right on top of him, he turns directly into oncoming traffic, endangering everybody and everything in his way. Before long, he decides to get on the interstate, as other drivers wisely get out of his way. That's when he decides not to let dozens of innocent commuters get in his way. A few blocks later, he exits the interstate for what will be the last time. He pulls into this residential area, and it looks like he's going to bail. But before he makes a move, officers move in, guns drawn. One trooper whips out his nightstick and pounds the window. They don't know if he's armed, but they do know he's not coming out on his own. Officers get a grip on the suspect and yank his body across what's left of the broken window. His running days are over, and no one is seriously hurt. It later turns out the driver had served time for grand theft and false imprisonment. Officers also found a gun and crack cocaine in the stolen car. All that will be taken into consideration when he faces new charges of fleeing police and auto theft. Council Bluffs, Iowa. Police spot the driver of this van changing lanes in an unsafe manner. An officer turns on his flashing lights, but the man refuses to pull over. It quickly turns into a pursuit. The chase continues on both sides of the road. The driver takes each turn faster and faster.
He's almost lost it a couple times.
Before long, the driver tempts fate once too often.
He's 1050.
1050 is police jargon for vehicle crash, and that's putting it mildly. The van misses the turn and completely flips over. Officers run to the car in search of the driver.
He's right here. He's unconscious. Tell him he's unconscious.
The man is critically injured, but he survives. He's later charged with drunk driving and illegal possession of a loaded gun.
I'm cuffing him up here.
The car's stolen, and traffic is jammed on LA's 405 freeway. But the suspect is determined to get away. He squeezes the sedan through the smallest gaps, bumps and sideswipes vehicles as he goes. A truck tries to pin him in, which may not be the best idea. Cops suspect he's got a tire iron in the car, and police say he's armed with a handgun. He hits the red pickup, then swerves from the freeway down the off-ramp. He's all over the road at high speeds, endangering other drivers and pedestrians as he roars through red lights and crowded intersections. He drives down the wrong side of the road at high speed and barely misses oncoming traffic. When traffic blocks his way, he just barrels through and rips the bumper off another car. He hits this curb, but an LAPD officer is right on him and almost manages a pit maneuver. Now officers are told he may be holding the loaded gun to his head. This chase gets more dangerous every moment. Again, stopped traffic blocks him, so he forces his way through and damages vehicles as he goes. The car appears to slow, and then smoke comes from a blown front tire. Suddenly, he pulls over. That's a code 4. Suspect surrenders to police. After he leads police across town, hits other cars, drives down the wrong side of the streets, and pulls a gun, he calmly surrenders. The suspect pays heavily for all the trouble he causes. He faces a slew of charges, including felony evading, hit and run, assault with a firearm, and other gun-related charges. He's held on $440,000 bail.
Cherry Sunday.